Good morning, good afternoon, good day. Welcome to today's tutorial on QEdge, Vital and Index. These are the 100% real-time systems that you may use to analyze the market, sector industry rotation, as well as stocks fundamentals and peer analysis. You may use these systems not only for the USA market, for global markets as well. Let me check. Are you able to hear me and see my screen? If you can hear me and see my screen, please send a message through the YouTube live chat. I'll continue. Disclaimer: I am not an investment advisor. This demonstration is for educational purposes only. It is not a trade recommendation. Trading involves risk. You and only you are solely responsible for the outcome of your trades. Let's look at the Q systems. We have the technical systems Q Elite and Q Global. That is not the topic of our discussion today. Today we are going to discuss the systems that are used for fundamental analysis, Q Vital, sector industry rotation analysis, Q Edge, and market level index analysis, Q Index. What is the underlying platform for these systems? That is Metastock Zenith as the data provider, and we use the Microsoft Excel 64-bit running on 64-bit Windows. Programming interface is used from Microsoft Excel to gather real-time raw data from Metastock Zenith, which is same as Refinitiv. Earlier it used to be called Thomson Reuters, and that is the same architecture for all the three systems: Vital, Edge, and Index. They all use extremely high quality, reliable Refinitiv or Zenith data. And they can be operated in 100% real time. Let me go to the systems. Once you install the systems, you can open Q Edge, Vital, and Index using the respective Microsoft Excel files. Now these systems process a lot of data, and they can be processed in full real time in streaming mode. If you are traveling and you are carrying a lightweight laptop, the lightweight laptop may or may not have enough processing power to calculate everything. That is thousands of stocks, fundamentals, scorecard, hundreds of industries, tens of sectors, everything. If you want to calculate in full streaming mode, then it needs higher processing power. We may not have that when we are traveling. Therefore, there is a way to set the refresh frequency, and that is available under the Thomson Reuters menu icon. If you go to Thomson Reuters menu, sign in, once you sign in, the green online indicator will come. Click on settings. The setting dialog box will appear. Then click on data retrieval. Under data retrieval, choose the second option, function, and here you may choose streaming or you may choose a refresh frequency. On my computer, whether I am traveling using a laptop or when I'm at home, like now, I'm using a desktop, I set the refresh frequency to 5 minutes. That is enough for calculating the sector rotation, industry rotation, also stocks fundamental scorecard in near real time. If you wanted full real time, you could instead choose the streaming mode. If you have a high processing power computer, you may do that. It may or may not be required. Once you change the setting, the apply box will be active. I didn't make any change. If I, for example, change to streaming, you can see now the apply button is active and it shows a message. Any changes made to the setting will take effect when you restart Thomson Reuters icon Microsoft Office. That means after you apply, you need to, of course, close the dialog and then close all the Q applications as well as Microsoft Excel. That is, you have to close QEdge, QVital, QIndex, close Microsoft Excel also, and then restart. Then the updated refresh frequency will take effect. Now I have three programs. QEdge, that is for sector industry rotation analysis, the one you are seeing here. QVital, that is used for stocks fundamental and peer analysis, or your stock universe fundamental analysis. You may do one of these two things using QVital. You may do a peer analysis of a root stock, or you may do the fundamental analysis of a stock universe you have already created. And then the third program in this series is QIndex, that is used for index analysis. All these programs can be used not only for the USA market but for global markets as well. For example, for index analysis, you may see that it not only has the USA indices like NDX, SPX, and S&P 1500, it also has indices for Australia, China, Hong Kong, etc. However, that is not all. There are other countries like Switzerland, Germany. Those are not listed in the drop down, but you may simply type the index. For example, I think STI is the index for Singapore. Now, one thing to note, when you are doing any analysis on an index, you need to have authorization to access it. Let me see if I have authorization to access STI index. I'm clicking the play button. You see the message access denied. Intentionally, I came to this example. If you are trying out some global index or some local index even in your country and you see the access denied message, that means you don't have permission to access detail about that index. Some of these indices need special permission and you may have to pay for that. You may find that out whether you have to pay or not, whether you have access to a specific index or not. You may find that out by calling Metastock. This is a Metastock Zenith data source. On the other hand, you can see the USA indices listed in the drop down. They don't include Dow Jones Industrials. But that is fine. We can just type the index DJI and it's going to do the index analysis. We could also do the same for example, India market. Any of the markets indices where you have access, you are able to do the index analysis. So index analysis done by QIndex is global. Let me go to QEdge. In QEdge, you have a country selection drop down. Normally, most if not all of us are trading in the USA market. So the selection is United States of America. However, there are several other major countries in the world for which sector industry rotation is supported by QEdge. For example, if I choose UK and I click the play button, now it is sending request to Refinitiv. How these systems have been developed is that you never need to store any data on your computer. You never have to fiddle with folders, data synchronization between desktop, laptop, etc. Everything is retrieved from Refinitiv in real time. Even if a stock goes out of a business, or it is merged with another company, or a new company comes in S&P 500 or 1500 or any index, anything happens with the stock, with the sector, industry, or with the index, we don't have to manage anything. It has been developed in a way that it retrieves everything, 100% of the data, raw data in real time, and does all the calculation inside the tools. That is one important thing. We use extremely high quality data, that is Refinitiv, and we don't store anything on the computer. There is one more thing to remember, that we are streaming the raw data from Refinitiv, and it is used to calculate everything in memory, in cache. So when I am running QEdge or QVital or QIndex, a lot of calculation is happening in real time all the time. However, that doesn't update the view. What view? For example, the stock scorecard that is there in Vital Index Edge, or if you go to Edge, the industry scorecard, sector scorecard, these are views. The views are not updated, but in memory everything is updated in real time. Why did we design like that? Because sometimes we are doing an analysis, one iteration of stock investigation or sector analysis, top-down analysis or bottom-up. When we are in the middle of an analysis, we don't want to change everything on the view. Maybe we are filtering data, we are removing data, we are sorting data, we are focusing on a particular sector, number of industries, number of stocks based on fundamentals. We don't want everything to get resorted, rearranged while we are in the middle of an investigation. That is why the view has the latest data, but not the data that is in memory cache. Whenever we take some action, for example, in QEdge, if I go from the home page, that is this page, to sector scorecard by clicking the cyan icon, now it is going to cache, retrieving everything, and it is going to populate my view. And this is my view. Now it has presented me with the latest view with a timestamp, 10th September, and my computer time is set to New York time, Eastern time zone. So it is 8:14 a.m. 30 seconds. Every time we click an action button, it refreshes the data from cache and it presents it on the view. But always, the calculation is always going on in the background in real time. I have to qualify the term always. Whether it is QEdge or QVital or QIndex, it does do a lot of calculation, and sometimes you don't need it. That is why all the systems have these two buttons, pause and play. If you don't need to run the system, you may click the pause button, and you can see now streaming is off. But this streaming is not Refinitiv settings streaming. It is the streaming connection between this particular application, QEdge in this case, and Refinitiv. Therefore, you are able to switch off streaming for one application. In this case, I switched off streaming for QEdge. However, if I go to QIndex, I may click it on. I can switch on and off streaming for each application individually. We designed it like that because just using the Refinitiv streaming option, it was not possible to run one in streaming mode and run another in pause mode. These pause and play buttons are there in all the three applications. They look like the tape recorder pause and play buttons. If you still remember how tape recorder buttons look, I think the modern MP3 players also use the same symbols. What else? You see, I changed the country to UK, and then the home page changed. I mentioned that everything is calculated in cache, but they don't update the view. Now let me qualify that. There is an exception. And to demonstrate the exception, I am playing it again, and let me change it to our usual country, United States. The moment we change the country, the moment we change any input parameter, it sends the request to Refinitiv, validates it, then retrieves the raw data. Once the raw data is retrieved, it will do the calculation and present the view. Let's give it a few seconds. It has updated the data. Now there is a dynamic link between QEdge Vital Index and Refinitiv. How do we know that the link is on? That is done using a heartbeat mechanism, and that heartbeat is reflected in the status. If you keep it in streaming mode, that is streaming specific to the application, by clicking the play button, then this heartbeat, that is the updated status, will keep on changing. Remember, at zenith level, I set my refresh frequency to 5 minutes. So every 5 minutes you will see this counter, timestamp counter will change. That is one way we made sure that we know that the connectivity between QEdge Vital Index and Zenith is working. Sometimes due to internet issues, server issues, the connection may be off. If you see this timestamp is not changing as per your refresh frequency, then all you need to do is click the pause and then click the play button again. That will reset the connection with Refinitiv. Therefore, this heartbeat updated timestamp changes in real time, not only in cache but also on the view. Also, few other things change in real time on the view. For QEdge, that is this pie chart, which shows the advanced decline, that is market breadth, for the sector, industries and stocks. It also changes the real-time bar chart in the sector performance. Now market is closed, that's why it is showing 1-day performance here and here. If I am running it during market hours, and the market hours of course varies from country to country. Currently my country selection shows USA, therefore if the market opens, that is 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, you will see this one day and this one day automatically changes to real time and everything is shown in real time. Therefore, this information also, these pie charts for real time and the bars for real time during market hours, they change not only in cache but on the view also. That is for Q edge. And if I am looking at Q index, let's look at NDX. You see streaming is off for this particular application. I can switch it on by clicking play. All these applications send multiple requests when I do something. So for the index, first request was sent to retrieve the components, and now it is retrieving data about all the components. That is why I mentioned earlier that even if anything changes, a company goes out of business, index components change, sectors change, whatever, even new industries are introduced in a country because maybe new technology companies are established in that country, through this series of requests sent to Refinitiv, we will always have latest up-to-date information. It is retrieving the data about the NASDAQ NDX constituent stocks, and you can see the heartbeat is here also. This will also keep on changing based on the refresh frequency. Another thing also changes, that is again the pie chart, the 1 day one. Currently it is showing 1 day. During market hours it will change to real time, and this graph will also change in real time, not only in the cache but also on the view. Let me pause it to save bandwidth. On QVital also, if I do a peer analysis of a stock, let's choose Tesla. Now it is sending multiple requests. First request it sent to gather detail about the stock. Now it is sending the second request. While it is sending the second request, the third request was listening. The second request retrieved all the peer stocks for Tesla, and now it is, the listener is now in awake mode. It is now retrieving data about all these peer stocks, these 16 peer stocks, raw data. Once that is retrieved, it will update this home page view of QVital. And you may notice the heartbeat is here in QVital also, the updated timestamp. This will keep on changing if you keep the streaming on for this specific application. How do you keep the streaming on? By clicking the play button. When you are not doing anything, you may click the pause button. That's good. We got a server response is not valid. When we are communicating with Refinitiv through programming interface, sometimes there is an error. The server doesn't respond, or cloud has an issue, or internet has an issue, whatever. If we see server response is not valid, that is a message that is coming from Refinitiv. Whenever there is an issue, server response issue with Refinitiv, all we need to do is click the pause and click the play button again. Now again, you see, it doesn't rely on the data that was already on the view. It sent a request again to retrieve the peer stocks, and see, now the server issue is not there. So whenever you see any server issue, or you see the heartbeat is not changing, you may simply pause and play again. These heartbeats keep changing when you keep QVital in streaming mode. And the other thing that changes here is this pie chart. Also during market hours, this real-time percentage change and real-time up down will update in the view all the time, not only in cache but also in the view. Whereas the other information, what is the other information, like the stock scorecard or in queue edge the sector scorecard, the view is not updated, and that was done intentionally because on these scorecards we can carry out some investigation, and while we are in the middle of the investigation we don't want to update the data. That is how the systems were designed. Now let's understand the action buttons. There are many buttons on all the applications. These buttons are shown by icons. They are on the home page, on queue edge, also on all the other pages like sector scorecard, stock scorecard, etc. And they follow a color scheme. This pink color download button is consistently used in all the queue Refinitiv applications, that is queue edge vital index. This pink download button is used to refresh the data from cache if you need to. Why I say if you need to? Because if you are using the action button to drill down to the sectors, then automatically it gets the data from cache. You don't need to do anything. But if you still want to update it from cache everywhere on this application, you can click this button. Similar button is there in queue index, stock scorecard, and also queue vital stock scorecard. Again, you may not need the refresh from cache button. Why? Because for example in queue vital also, when you click this peer analysis, it is automatically going to get the data, latest data from cache. And then there are other action buttons. Sectors are represented by 3 circles: cyan, magenta, yellow. That is one color scheme that we have used, and another color scheme we have used is green, red, yellow. If you see the color scheme, and what I mean by color scheme, if you go to stock scorecard, and you can see here the stocks are from London. So let me refresh from cache, because now we are looking at the USA market. We change the country on the home page, and these are the USA stocks now. Now color scheme. You can see the valuation color scheme is using cyan, magenta, yellow. Same for secondary valuation, same for earnings quality here, same for short squeeze. If you see any of the scorecard columns having cyan, magenta, yellow, then you know, and I already told it, then you know it is score. It's not percentage change. On the other hand, if you see all these earnings growth, revenue growth columns, or dividend yield, or the 1-day percentage change, 2-day percentage change, etc., or below 52-week high, above 52-week low, when you see the color scheme as red, green, yellow, and using a heat map, then you know it is a percentage number. It is not a scorecard, and they are in a heat map fashion. For example, if I sort by 1-day percentage change, you can see it is from green to yellow, then it will turn to red. It is using a heat map with the color scheme green, yellow, red. Whereas the score columns are not using heat map, but they are using fixed 3 colors: cyan, magenta, yellow. Therefore, whenever you see the color scheme, you know you are looking at a score or you are looking at a percentage data. This visual representation helps us identify what we are looking for very easily. And this is used consistently across all the applications. Few more things, and for demonstrating that, let me go to queue Vital, I could use any of the applications. If you see the 1-day percentage change, whether it is 1 day, 2 day, 5-day percentage change, or earnings growth, revenue growth, valuation, if you want to sort by any column, you can double click on that column. Double click. It is now in descending order. If you double click again, it will change the sorting order to ascending order. And now you can see the heat map very clearly. The worst performing stock in this list, that is the automobiles stocks, yesterday was Nikola, and the best performer was Tesla. They are competitors. Nice, isn't it? Of course, Tesla is an operating company, and Nikola is still not an operating, in the sense it has not created any car or truck yet, but the company is operating, of course. And you see the heat map immediately shows us that the worst performer is Nikola and the best performers are Tesla and this one WKHS, maybe Workhorse or something, and then NIO. Tesla and NIO both are e-cars, electric cars, and Workhorse we can find out. Again, the heat map instantly attracts our eye. For example, I didn't sort by 52-week high column, but I know from the heat map that it is which one is closest to 52-week high, that is Workhorse, this stock. The color instantly tells us. I don't even have to look at the number. And which one is farthest from 52-week high? You could say this one or this one. You may look at the number, but for most purposes, you will just look at the color to decide which one is the best, which one is the worst for any of the columns that are having green, red, yellow color scheme. That is for any of the columns that are showing percentage change. Of course, if you sort, you can know that also. So if I sort by earnings growth in the latest quarter by double clicking, of course I know Tesla has the best earnings growth and Workhorse, I think it's Workhorse, WKHS, has the worst earnings growth. How to know the company name? For the stock scorecard, the first panel that is shown is the vital panel. Here we have put together everything that is usually enough for 80-90% of the investigations. But if you want more information like company name, you can go and find out Workhorse. Yes, indeed it is Workhorse Group Incorporation. That is the name of the company. So other than the vital panel that I showed in the beginning, if you scroll to the right, we have the information panel with basic information about the stock. Then fundamental ratios like earnings value, EV by EBITDA, price earning ratio, price to book value ratio, dividend yield, etc. Then the more detailed 5-year EPS growth, 5-year revenue growth, and then the latest 4 quarters earnings growth, latest 4 quarters revenue growth. To the left of it, we have the price performance. Price performance of the stocks in scorecard across 12 months, M1 to M12, and because swing trading decisions are taken today, the closer we come to our trading decision, we use more frequently updated data. Therefore, we are not using monthly data to decide swing trading. we have data that is showing us the performance across 10 days, 5 days, 2 days, 1 day, and during market hours the real time will also be populated. All the systems can be run in 100% real time mode as I am doing now. So that is the information about how the colors, whether it is heat map for the percentage change or the calculated score colors, tell us instantly which ones are best or which ones are worst, depending on what we are looking for long opportunities or short opportunities. Cyan or green is always on the higher side, bullish, stronger. Magenta red is always on the lower side or weaker, that is bearish. So if we are looking for bullish opportunities, we are expecting cyan color or green color. If we are looking for bearish opportunities, we may look for magenta red color. If it is yellow, you may just stand aside, or sometime you may buy a stock in the middle of its going up curve also. That is also possible. But usually the best trading opportunities will come at the extremes. Therefore, many traders look for either, for example, value stocks or stocks with short squeeze or stocks with earnings growth. They will come as cyan or green color stocks. That is about the color scheme. Now coming back to the buttons, let me come back to Q Edge again. So I talked about the refresh button, and then I explained the color coding that is used to intuitively know what is going on looking at the data. I am not a numbers guy. A lot of calculation is there under the hood, but I just look at the colors and you may do the same. Now next is the action keys. The action keys use a certain color scheme also, especially on the stock scorecard. If you see orange color icon, that means control is going to go to outside this application. Now I am on Q Edge stock scorecard tab. You can see stock scorecard tab here at the bottom. And if I click any of these orange action buttons, they will take control outside the application. Which application? The chart icon will take my control to Q Global. That is the technical analysis system on Metastock. If I click the grid icon, then it will not transfer control to TradeStation, but it will gather the data in a format that can be pasted in TradeStation's radar, that is on the Q Elite technical trading system. And if I click the peer analysis orange color icon, by the way, all peer analysis icon looks like these multiple people with a magnifying glass. Whether the peer analysis is done inside the application or outside. In this case, it is peer analysis and the color is orange. That means it is going to send my selected stock or stocks to another application. Which application can it be? That is Cube Vital, because Cube Vital is for fundamental and peer analysis. Therefore, whenever you see the orange icons in any of the applications, you know it is going to take control outside the application. Why it is important? You may click and then see nothing is happening, then you know that probably that application is not on. So if you are clicking on the chart icon, nothing is happening, probably Q Global is not running, that is Metastock is not on. If you are clicking this orange peer analysis, nothing is happening because Q Vital is not on. Similarly, if I go to Q Vital homepage, for example, it also has a number of orange color action buttons. Again, the chart icon will take me to Q Global, grid icon for TradeStation's Q Elite radar for pasting the data there, and now we have a gear icon that represents industry. So if I click the gear icon from this is Q Vital, it will take me to Q Edge to show me the industry rotation information about this particular stock. So QVital is for stocks fundamental analysis, peer analysis. While doing that, if I want to look up the industry score, then I will click the gear icon, and the gear icon is there anywhere the stock information is available. For example, here homepage, you can see the tab name at the bottom, homepage of Vital. It is also there on the stock scorecard tab. Orange color means it is going to take me to another application. Which application? That will be QEdge, because QEdge does sector industry rotation analysis. Similarly, QIndex also has the cog icon, the chart icon, grid icon for QElite sonar or radar, and peer analysis for doing the fundamental peer analysis. That is the color scheme we have used. Orange color action buttons take control to another application. They are integrated. Now comes the olive buttons. The olive buttons, they highlight or show the rows, brings focus to a particular row or rows. They are not action buttons. That's why we used a different color. Number 10 refreshes the data from, no, let me repeat. Number 10 will show the 10 best or worst performing. It's just highlighting those 10 rows. For example, now I have the data here. This is Q index. Which index am I analyzing? I'm analyzing NDX, the Nasdaq 100. I have those stocks. Okay. Now see, let me come back to home page, and I need to click the action button, go to constituent analysis. Now you see, now the index constituents are there. Last time it was in the view from previous operation. How I noticed that the number of symbols was not 100, around 100. Nasdaq 100 is supposed to have around 100 stocks. So now I know it is Nasdaq 100, and I can also see the index here. Now if I click 10, it's going to highlight the top 10 rows. Why it is useful? Suppose I am looking for the best performers of today. It is useful sometimes to click on number 10 and see from these columns which industries they belong to, or if I scroll to the right, which sectors they belong to. So this is data as of yesterday's close. The best performing sectors yesterday, you can see several: infotech, 5, 6. 6 of the 10 best performers yesterday were in infotech sector, and 2 healthcare. Therefore, healthcare was also strong. That is the usefulness of this 10 button. And if you are on any row or rows, by clicking control click or shift click or drag, if you click the heart icon, it will highlight the row. That makes reading easier. So for example, we can see ALGN had 4.7% up move yesterday. Highlighting just makes it easier to read. What is the scissor icon? Suppose I see all these stocks that went up yesterday from the 1-day percentage change. There are many stocks that went up. Maybe I want to focus on the ones that went up by 3% or more. So I drag and select, and as you can see, I am not dragging and selecting on the symbol column or any other column. I could do that also, but easiest for me is to drag and select the column that is my focus. In this case, I am trying to select the stocks that went up by 3% or more yesterday. So I am just dragging and selecting by that column. And now if I click the scissor icon, it will eliminate everything else from my view. That is very useful. Now I have a clean view. Now I can do further operation on the stocks. I may look up their chart, I may look up their industry, or I may do further operation using the other icons that we have in the stock scorecard button. Those were the three highlight or focus buttons. They are in olive color. Again, orange color takes control outside the application. These are action buttons. The pink color download icon downloads from cache. You may or may not need it, but it is there. Now the cyan color action button. These are also action buttons, but they don't take control outside the application. So here I am at Q index. Home button will take me to home page. And from home page, if I click on the peer analysis, is it going to take me to Vital for peer analysis? No, because it is not in orange color. Cyan color means it is going to keep me inside the application. So here on Q index, if I click the peer analysis, it is going to take me to the constituent peer analysis for the index. That is how from the color you know that is it going to take me to Q Vital or is it going to take me to the scorecard of the same application. Now here I am looking at these stocks. Let me again choose the best performing stock yesterday. Let's say Zoom. So again I can select by the symbol column, or if I'm looking at percentage change, why don't I choose by 1 day percent? I can select there. If I'm looking for the highest dividend yield stock in this list, then I see the stock is WBA, but I don't have to highlight WBA. I can just highlight dividend yield because that is my focus column. And now if I click the orange color peer analysis button, orange means it's going to take me to another application. Which application can that be? Because I'm analyzing a stock, that application must be Q Vital for peer analysis, and I click that. You can see now my control comes to Q Vital. It's using WBA, Walgreens Boot Alliance. It retrieved the data about the stock. Now it is going to retrieve the peers. It has retrieved the peers. In the third pass, it is retrieving data about the peers and completing the scorecard. That is done. That is how you can know easily from the icon colors whether it is going to take you outside the application or keep it inside the application, and the icon picture shows you what it is doing. That color scheme is consistently applied not only on the stock scorecard or home page but also on the other scorecards like sector scorecard, industry scorecard, etc. Anytime you see a magnifying glass with number of people, peers, that is stock scorecard peer analysis. If you see gear, that is industry analysis. And if you see three circles, that is sector analysis. Those are the action buttons. And then there are many third category of buttons. Actually, there are two categories here that are available in the stock scorecard for both, not both, for all of Edge Vital Index. There are two categories of buttons, in fact, in the scorecard, stock scorecards. They are the insight buttons and then the smart filter buttons. Okay, let me start again. This is the latest version. This has a further classification. We have the insight buttons, we have the smart filter buttons, and also we have few sorting buttons. And you can read it out from the text also. These are sorting buttons. These buttons are for insight. I'll explain what insight is. And then there are smart filters. First group has buttons for filtering based on both valuation and or growth. Then based on valuation, then based on quarterly earnings growth, then based on annual earnings growth. Then few buttons on sorting, and lastly that is also a smart filter based on earnings calendar. Let me cover them one by one. What is insight? Insight buttons, what they do, they go to cache, and that is an important distinction. Whenever you click any of the insight buttons, they always goes to cache. Why cache? Because the latest data, real-time data, everything is calculated in cache in real time. It goes there and then processes our request based on that data. Whereas the smart filters, they work on what data we have already on the scorecard tab. That is an important distinction. Why? Because if I am doing top-down analysis, I am, for example, I am starting with the home, I am drilling down to sectors, and of course I'm using QEdge now. QEdge does sector industry rotation analysis. So I came to sector scorecard sorted by 1-day performance. The best performing sectors are healthcare, infotech. Again, I can highlight by 1-day score or name, or in fact I can highlight anywhere, but what is more natural thing to do is highlight the focus column. If I am looking at the best sectors yesterday, then it makes sense to highlight the 1-day column and click the industries. Gear represents industries. It gives me all the industries for both the sectors. You don't have to drill down to the industries of one sector at a time. You can choose multiple sectors and drill down. By the way, in this version, from the sector scorecard, instead of clicking the cog and go to industries, you could click on the peer analysis and go to stock scorecard directly. But let us do step by step in this case. From sector scorecard, we went to industry scorecard. And these two are the best performing sectors yesterday, but you can see not all the industries are the strongest. We know instantly from the heat map. And again, remember, cyan, magenta color scheme is for scorecard. Therefore, we know it is scorecard. It is industry scorecard. We can see it from the top, and we can also see that, of course, from the tab name. On the other hand, if I go to industry percentage, here the color scheme again is red, green, yellow. Therefore, I know it is percentage change. Of course, there is the pace column, 3 pace columns here also, and the coloring again is cyan, magenta. Therefore, those must be scores, not percentage change. Coming back to industry, I see this 1-day score for the infotech and healthcare industries. I'm going to sort them, and I want to drill down into only the strongest industries in these two sectors. And one more point to note here, anytime you see bold case, then you know those are showing the top 20% or bottom 20% of whatever we are looking at. So if I see the bold case here and it is in cyan color, cyan means higher side or stronger, then I know these are the top 20% of the industries, of all on industries. So it's okay to look at the top 20% for buying and bottom 20% for shorting. That's one possible approach. I highlighted them based on the bold case. You could also look at the coloring and decide. Now I am drilling down to the stocks. That will take me to stock scorecard and show me the stocks of only those industries that I selected. And now let me explain. Now I am not going to click the inside button, because remember, the moment you click inside, it is going to go back to cache, and everything is in cache, all sectors, all industries, all stocks, and do our calculation based on which button we are using. But in this case, I cannot carry out an insight analysis by clicking, for example, this fully charged battery. The battery icon represents valuation calculation. I am not going to click the insight valuation button, because that will go back to cache and get me the undervalued stocks. However, I have the same battery icon as a smart filter. So I have the stocks from these strongest industries in the strongest sectors. If I now want to do smart filtering in the view and I want to look for value stocks, then I'm going to click the valuation smart filters. Green again, you remember green is strong or bullish. So if I click green, it's going to show me all the undervalued stocks. That's best buying candidate in terms of valuation. If I'm looking for shorting, I may look for overvalued stocks. And again, magenta is poor, weak, bearish. So I get the worst valuation stocks, overvalued stocks. And if in case I want the medium valued stocks, I can click the yellow button. You can see you don't need to click the reset filter. There is a reset button for each smart filter category. Every time you click the reset, that category's smart filter is switched off. So right now I have the smart filter on for medium valuation stocks. See, if I click the reset button, it gets me all the stocks back. Which stocks back? Remember, it didn't go back to cache. What stocks we are looking at? We drill down from the two best performing sectors to the best industries within those sectors, and those are the stocks we are looking at. And that is why we designed it as a separate category of buttons. One is for inside, that is going to go to cache and do everything calculation, and then the smart filters that will operate on the view that is required if we are drilling down and we don't want to refresh the data. That is when I use the smart filters. Now let me explain all the buttons. Inside has multiple categories. The currency icon represents consistently high earnings growth year after year. So green is high earnings growth, red is, red is poor. So poor earnings growth, negative earnings growth. Battery is for valuation, therefore green is undervalued, red is overvalued. The rocket is for pressure. So green is stocks moving with high pressure, red is, okay, green is also high pressure, red is also high pressure. Green is moving up with high pressure, red is moving down with high pressure. And then simply moving up the best performers, and red is the worst performers. And let me demonstrate. See, currently I am looking at the stocks of the best industries of the two best sectors. Now let me click the high growth stocks, the green button, and that is going to go to cache, and it is retrieving all the stocks that have consistent high earnings growth for 3 successive years. These are representing compound earnings growth. So whether it is 3-year compound aggregate earnings growth, 3-year, 2-year, 1-year, everything is strong. And when you click the button, action button, in this case I use the high growth stocks inside button, because it is green, the system knows that I am looking for bullish stocks. So it is going to sort the data automatically by daily performance. If it is market hours, it will sort by real time. Everything is done automatically. So I have the high growth stocks, and this I retrieved from cache. Now suppose I want to see which stocks went up with high pressure. I'm not going to use the inside category high pressure because it is going to go back to cache. Instead, I'm going to use this sort button. If I click this, you can see it is probably same. That means the best performing high growth stocks are also going up with maximum pressure. That is usual. Now let's use another smart filter. I already have the 3-year consecutive earnings growth. Let me also see in the latest quarter. I'm using this smart filter. In the latest quarter, it switched from red to green. So it is a turnaround candidate in the latest quarter. So I click this green turnaround button. Now you see I have the 3 consistent yearly high earnings growth, and then in the latest quarter it turned around from red to green. That is that is useful insight. Now you may look for a buying candidate, and interestingly, can you see one of them is also undervalued, and I love to trade those stocks that are undervalued as well as high growth. This is high growth turnaround candidate also, as well as consistently high growth year after year. And let's look at the 52-week high is still far below 52-week high, already 121% above 52-week low. It has already started to move up. So we will not open the charts too much probably today. We are going through all the Q Edge Vital Index systems. But now you could look at ENVA, ENVA, and see if there is a technical setup. Already we know fundamentally it is strong. And how again did I get to ENVA? I first looked at the high growth inside stocks, then I looked for turnaround candidate in the latest quarter in terms of earnings growth, and one of them happened to be ENVA. If I had a long list here, if this list was very long, I could click the smart filter for undervalued stocks, and let me do that. Now you see only ENVA is left. Now here I didn't come from top-down analysis, so I don't know whether ENVA, ENVA's industry, that is consumer finance, is it strong now or not. I can put my cursor anywhere on the ENVA row and I have the cog icon. I can click it to look up its industry. Let's do that. The industry is not so strong. Instantly we know that from the color coding. And if I look at the industry percentage in the last few days, it is negative. So the industry is not strong. Therefore, if we are Q traders, we are not going to buy ENVA probably. Unless it starts to go up, the industry starts to go up today, you may keep an eye. And technical analysis, of course, we can carry out using Q Global by clicking the chart icon, or we can use Q Elite by clicking the grid icon, but I will not do that right now. That is how you can go back and forth between the data that is presented visually. Coming back to the insights, so these insights I explained some of the smart filters also. Let me now explain this special category of smart filter that is having both valuation and growth in that. That is the trade candidates or smart candidates as I call it. And this is where I may refresh the data, that is to demonstrate. So let me click the pink color download button. It is going to cache, and remember everything is calculating in cache every moment. So I have the up-to-date data. You can see that from the timestamp. Timestamp has changed, hasn't it? So we know the heartbeat is on. Now every time I look for buying opportunities, I like to buy stocks with great valuation, undervalued stocks, and starting point for me is to have earnings growth in the latest quarter, because I am mostly doing shorter term trading. I am interested in the latest quarter earnings growth. If I am looking for both of these criteria, I use this candidate smart filter, and remember these are smart filters, not inside, so it's not going to go to cache. And let me demonstrate that. Let me go back to the sector. Let me choose the three sectors that were best performing yesterday: healthcare, infotech, consumer staples. And now I am going to the stocks directly. I am not going to the industries. I am clicking the peer analysis, and because it is cyan color, I know it is not going to take me to vital. It's going to take me to the scorecard of this application, that is Q Edge, and I have the stocks from all those sectors, three sectors that I selected. Now first thing I do, if I'm looking for buying opportunities, I don't use inside because that will again go to cache. Not only restrict me to these sectors, I click the 3-star smart candidate star candidate button, and instantly it shows me the stocks that are undervalued with high earnings growth, at least in the latest quarter. Some of them have previous quarters earnings growth also, but my filter looks for the earnings growth in the latest quarter, and you see it automatically sorts the data based on 1-day performance. Because it knows I'm looking for buying opportunities, it shows the best performing ones at the top. Now I see the top one, UNFI, has previous quarter's earnings growth as negative, bright red. I looked for latest quarter earnings growth, and I see there are lot of stocks with high latest quarter earnings growth that are also undervalued. I may shorten the list. So I may say, why not look for 2 quarters earning growth high? And that is when I'm going to use these quarterly earnings growth filters. One is for the latest quarter that has already been applied by the star candidate. Therefore, I may click the number 2. That is going to show me, of course, the undervalued stocks were already selected. Latest quarter was already selected, and now I have also shortlisted the list, made the list shorter by looking at stocks that has 2 successive quarters great earnings growth. And if I click 3, it will further narrow down the list to stocks that are having 3 successive quarters earning growth, and undervalued stock, of course, that was already selected. And again, there is a reset button for every category. So if I click this reset button, you will see the earnings growth filter will go away, but the valuation filter will remain. The valuation filter came from the star candidate. That's a different category, or here. So if I click the last quarter earnings growth category filter, you can see the valuation is still there. And some of the earnings growth are still green because I might have used the star candidate filter. Let me do some more analysis using it. Suppose you are looking for the sector leaders. There is a concept of sector leaders. If you are looking for sector leaders, you can go to the sector tab, and you don't have to sort. Even you know healthcare is the best performing sector yesterday, and also over 2 days it is the second best performer. Or you may look for the most accelerating. Most accelerating yesterday was infotech, not healthcare. Sometimes you may look for 5 days also. Most accelerating over 5 days is utilities, and this is not 1 week, it is rolling 5 days. If you can do either way. You can select stocks from the best performing sectors, or let's say most accelerating sectors. You may control click to highlight them, and let's go to the stocks directly, not going to the underlying industries, going to the stocks. And now if I click this sort button, remember the rocket is for high pressure and the arrows are for simply going up or down. If I sort by that, I have the sector leaders in all these sectors. If I wanted the sector leader of a particular sector, for example, healthcare was best performer yesterday, I could put my cursor on healthcare anywhere, click the peer analysis, and just click the sort button. I know this is the sector that was best performing yesterday, and these are the sector leaders. Instantly I get that list. That is how you can look for sector leaders. Or if you wanted, let's do that also. From healthcare, you could go to the industries, healthcare industries, using the cog button. Then I don't even have to sort. I know healthcare technology was the best performer from the heat map. Now drill down to the individual stocks by clicking the peer analysis and click the sort button. So this is the industry leader, CPSI, happens to be an undervalued stock. Then I can see the next one, SLP, medium valued, and that's when the heart icon comes handy. Medium valued, high earnings growth went up by 7%. That's how you can easily find sector leaders, industry leaders. That's how you can drill down from home to sectors to industries to stocks. Now we are at 1 hour point and it is 9:12 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. 9:30 the market will open, but there are few more important concepts I want to explain. I already showed that from QVital you could go to QEdge to look up the industry by using the gear icon. Let me demonstrate one more thing. In the Universe tab of QVital, you may maintain many lists of stocks. Usually I work with these three lists: liquid mid price stocks, liquid low price stocks, and S&P 1500, which is also in QEdge. Sometimes instead of looking for trading opportunities from S&P 1500 stocks that is in QEdge, I may start with these lists, and these are large lists. So let me try to find star buying candidates from this mid price stock. So I may put my cursor anywhere on the column, click on the peer analysis, and cyan color means it's going to keep in the same application, QVital that is. Now it is retrieving data about all these 1924 stocks that were in my universe. Let's give it a few seconds. Once it completes the calculation, you will see just by the click of one button, I know the best trading candidates, that is star candidates in terms of fundamentals. While it is doing that, let me demonstrate one more thing, that is the integration. I came to the stock list, doesn't matter. This happens to have all the automobile stocks. So I may put my cursor anywhere. If I click on the chart icon, that is going to open the chart on Q Global. They are integrated. We selected the best applications, best of breed applications. TradeStation best for the USA market is brokerage platform, and for analyzing global stocks as well as USA stocks. If you want to do both, I think MetaStock is the best in the world. I use Q systems not only for USA market but for global market. That's why I use MetaStock as well. So you see it opened the chart on Q Global. Let me go back. If I, instead of clicking the chart icon, and let me demonstrate, let me select sort by 1 day. Let me select the ones that went up yesterday by at least 2%. I'm clicking the grid icon. It will not open anything. If I go to Q Elite on TradeStation, Sonar, that is radar, I can simply click Ctrl V on my keyboard or paste, Ctrl V or paste, and it retrieved the ticker symbols. Remember, QEdge Vital Index, the data is from Refinitiv, so the symbol code that you see in column 1 in stock scorecard, they are Refinitiv codes, not ticker codes. You cannot paste these codes in brokerage platform. You need the ticker symbol. Of course, if you go to the information panel, you can get the ticker symbol from there, click from there, but you don't need it, and that's not the efficient way. Because why? I am looking at my focus column. In this case I selected by percentage change. If I was looking for dividend pairs, maybe only one, so I select by dividend column. I cannot always go to the rightmost information panel, and I don't need to. I may simply select the stocks of my interest, click the grid icon, that collects not the Reuters symbol but the ticker symbol, and I may clear what I had and press Ctrl V or right click and click paste. That's how QEdge Vital Index are integrated with both Q Elite on TradeStation and Q Global on MetaStock, And what I was demonstrating, let me see, the processing is done long time ago probably. So what I am doing now, I got this 1924 stocks that were in my universe. I wanted to see if any trading ideas are there. So I calculated the scorecard. I go to the stock scorecard by clicking that icon and simply click the 3-star button. Automatically it gives me in a single click the best valuation, best growth stocks, and the ones that went up most. Many of them, isn't it? That is the time when I may also click number 2 in quarterly earnings. These stocks are having 2 successive quarterly earnings. Instead, if I wanted turnaround candidate, I could click this button, and these are all turning around from negative to positive undervalued stocks. High earnings growth in the latest quarter, and whatever I do, whichever smart filter I apply, or whichever insight category I use, whichever star candidate or trade candidate I look for, it knows whether I'm looking for bullish or bearish candidates and sorts them accordingly. That is how sometimes I look for mid-price stocks, sometimes I may look for low-price stocks. And low-price stocks sometimes are very undervalued, and when they start to show earnings growth, and of course that is true for mid-price stocks also, you may carry that exercise out on both mid-price stocks, low-price stocks. Look for stocks that are undervalued and having huge earnings growth in the latest quarter. Even better if it is a turnaround candidate. You can do all these scenarios using the insight categories, smart filters, etc. If you are looking for earnings play, let me refresh the data. Click the earnings calendar. That will show you all the stocks that has earnings nearby. And now you may apply the smart filters again. Let's try to look for undervalued stocks. Okay, this few, let's try to look for high growth in the latest quarter. So we have 2 stocks, KR, I think Kroger, and WUBA, both have earnings nearby. That's how now you can look at the industry. Let's look at, okay, Kroger went up yesterday little bit, 1.6, the other one went down. Let's look at Kroger's industry by clicking the cog icon. And now I am going to explain one important thing. If I go back to Kroger, you see it is food retail industry. Alternate industry is food retail and distribution. I think both are similar. You can get both those information. Primary industry information you get from the industry tab now. Industry 2 will have the alternate industry. Industry percentage will have primary industry percentage. Industry 2 will have alternate industry. And that is very important. This is in the latest version that you may download. Let me explain. I explained it in the last video, but let me explain again. Let's look at this stock, Fast Solar. Is it a semiconductor stock or is it a renewable energy stock? Because its primary industry is shown as semiconductors, renewable energy is the alternate industry. And we have found 62 peer stocks by using the relationship. Look for both primary industry match and secondary industry match. That is using the filter industry plus. Earlier we had the industry filter. If I click industry filter, then it is going to look for only semiconductors industry peers. Let's give it a few seconds. You will see the number of peers is now not 62 anymore. I think so, because it will not look for renewable energy peers. It's only looking for semiconductors 50. On the other hand, if we trade Fast Solar, we may look at the description. We know it is renewable energy company more than semiconductor. Then you may choose industry 2, that is, give me the alternate industry peers. And now you will see again the peer count will change. Yes, 18. And now let's say, okay, I want to look at its industry. In the latest version, when I look up the industry, it's going to process the industry information for both the primary as well as the secondary alternate industry. So by default, it takes me to the primary industry. Semiconductors up yesterday, very strong, but I know from my experience from my trading that First Solar is actually renewable energy stock. That information is in industry too. Well, that is not only strong yesterday, 2 days ago, it was strong for a much longer time. If you look at the latest period, semiconductors was weaker, but alternate industry was weak for very short time. The same information you can get from industry percentage, and alternate industry percentage will be in industry too. And even at the sector level, you can see primary sector infotech and secondary sector. See, interestingly, First Solar is actually an energy company according to the alternate classification. So this is now very powerful in many ways. Not only the insights are giving us the top 10, but all the best performers according to our selection. We have the revamped smart filters, the sort buttons. We have ability to go from sector to stocks. We have information about alternate sectors, alternate industries, percentage and score both, and the ability from either Vital homepage or from stock scorecard of Vital or from stock scorecard of index to look up not only the primary industry but also the secondary industry. These are very powerful tools and they operate in real time. One thing that I didn't touch upon much is the information available on the home page that shows us in real time whether this is the day to buy stocks or should wait, even if you have shortlisted some candidate. By looking at the, currently it's showing 1 day, but during market hours it will be real time. That is extremely useful insight to decide whether to enter a planned trade or wait. And that insight information, real time information, that is market level information, you get from Q Edge and you also get from Q Index. Typically you may run the index analysis on the three major US indices, NASDAQ, NDX, SPX for S&P 500 and .DJI. You may simply type it here and you will see which stocks are strong in a day at a high level, index level, and of course Edge will allow you to do very granular calculation drill down. One last thing to mention before I end, I mentioned about sector, alternate sector, industry, alternate industry. Which one do we use first? We always use the primary sector and industry first. If I refresh the data, I'll explain why. If you look at the sector, there are 11 primary sectors, alternate sectors 10. If we look at industry, 147 primary industries, alternate 119. Therefore, the primary classification is more granular. Use that please. Only in cases like we saw in case of First Solar, only in cases where you see there is a big difference between primary and secondary alternate, then only you look up the alternate industry. Otherwise, it is more efficient just to look at the primary. Last thing that I should mention, all these column headers, they have a pair of numbers. The first number shows up, second number shows down. So there are 119 industries over 1 day, 90 industries up, 28 down. Over 12 months, 56 up, 60 down. And that breadth information is available for all the tabs, whether it is stock scorecard, here price performance. Yesterday, for example, from Q Edge, 1,042 stocks were up, 457 were down. Over 5 days, 396 up, 1108 down. So this breadth information is there wherever price change is there. Is of course there for the entire price performance of the stocks here in the detail panel. You may get the breadth information from there and of course from the home page and from the index homepage charts. I think market is about to close. Let's end today's session here. I hope it was useful. I'm going to schedule more tutorials like this where I can cover in detail not only the features but the architecture, the thought behind it, why we focused on quality, not necessarily looking for the least expensive data source, least expensive or free trading platform, for example, Thinkorswim. All the indicators are free there. We didn't go for that. We chose the best quality products so that we can trade comfortably. And these companies are going to be around for a while, so our platform technology can continue. I will arrange for additional schedules for additional tutorial sessions for Q Elite on TradeStation and also Q Global on MetaStock. And lastly, one last session maybe to combine everything, show the full power of everything coming together. I look forward to you joining in those sessions also. Thank you very much for joining. You have a great day. Keep safe. Nowadays, I have started saying keep safe also. Before COVID, I didn't say that. But please keep safe. Have a good day. Have a good week and trade profitably. There is absolutely no reason not to do so. Thank you. Bye bye.